Woodsy Thomas was an African-American artist and teacher who lived and worked in Washington, D.C. She is now recognized as a major American painter of the 20th century. Thomas is best known for the exuberant, colorful, abstract painting that she created after her retirement from a 35-year teaching career at Washington's Shaw Junior High. She achieved success as an African-American female artist despite the segregation and prejudice of her time. We're starting this painting with 3 simple lines: the top of the water, the top of the mountains, and 1 little circle for the middle of your sun. Now, obviously, you can make these in different ways, but you have to keep them as simple as possible. Wide, wavy lines or long, straight lines. I should not be seeing spiky, crazy mountains. 1 or 2 big mountains, that is it. Then, no matter what you have in your landscape, you're going to start at the top of your paper. That's going to make it easier so your arm isn't having to rest on top of wet paint. We're going to start with our sun or our moon or whatever you have in the sky. If you're not including a sun or a moon, then your patterns are going to radiate from a corner or from the top edge. You're going to start going 1 circle at a time with those famous Alma Thomas brush strokes, those dashes, using the wide edge of the brush going around 1 color at a time. Now, 1 color at a time does not mean you cannot do more than 1 row of the same color. You need to be thinking purposefully about what colors you are choosing. In this painting, I use all 3 warm colors to fill up my sky. Now, normally you would think, well, sky is blue, but I know that I'm going to be using mostly blue for my water. So I am choosing to have my sky be a toasty, warm, brilliant, and bright sky. Once you get around that basic shape of the circle, it starts to get a little trickier because you have to consider those lines of the mountains. That's where that skill of bump and jump is going to be important. Those mountains are overlapping the patterns in the sky. So whenever you run into one of those pencil lines, you're just going to bump into it and jump over it and pretend that these dashes are actually being hidden by the mountains. As I finish up my sky, I want to make sure that every piece is filled in. So even some of my brush strokes will go off the paper and only part of the brush stroke will make it onto the white page. I'm going to rinse out my brush and switch to the colors that I am using for the mountains. The colors I chose for the mountains are the 3 secondary colors, so green, orange, and purple. And I'm laying them out in kind of a pattern. I'm making it appear that my first mountain is overlapping in front of that second mountain. So it kind of alternates. I'm just kind of choosing to do the colors how I would like to do them. Obviously, you can do your colors in any way, but we are sticking with those Alma Thomas brush strokes as we fill in our mountains. And yeah, it gets a little tricky as I get closer to the lines for the ocean. But these are my mountains and I want to stick to those straight lines. So while it might be tempting to go down to that curved line with these colors and start filling in from the bottom up, I want the lines on my mountains to be straight so that they are in contrast to the lines, the curved lines in my sky and the wavy lines that I'm going to use in the ocean. So I'm actually just having these kind of diagonal lines come straight down and run in to that wavy line that makes the top of my water. Finally, I am moving on to the last section of my landscape painting, and that is the water. I am using blue, I am using purple, and that is it. So I'm going to be using kind of multiple rows and multiple layers of those colors. Since I know I'm going to be using a lot of the same colors, I might start to play with the length of my brush strokes, seeing how small I can make them, seeing how close together I can get them, just to make it look a little bit more visually interesting, even using that same color over and over again in the bottom section of my landscape painting.